actually call that the kill box. Last year we killed like, I want to say over 40 coyotes there.
Right a little bit, not very much. Another 2 feet, that works. Whoa, okay, good, go.
That's just a perfect spot where when the weather gets really cold and that river freezes up, it's like a highway for coyotes and they move in hard and you can just keep killing and killing.
It's not ketchup.
Not Kool-Aid. Our blood freezes right when it drips.
I drove up there the other day and there was 3 coyotes just laying on it. And almost every night we drive by here, we see one out there. But
yeah, he's bedded down right up there. He hasn't even moved.
It feels like the wind might kind of, I don't know, it might us right there. Sorry, the wind might mess us up right there.
Let's be real, James.
The night is the one true side of hunting left yet to be explored. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no right or wrong way to hunt at night. All we did is take the funnest sport on the planet and we did it our way. We are all complete addicts. And if anybody tried to come and tell us we had to stop, good luck with that.
"3 a.m. in the morning. A lot of people don't understand why we do what we do. And you can see right behind me, that's a huge reason. You know, this isn't just for sport. This isn't just for fun. You know, we're not getting money from sponsors to pay for a show. We're not going from state to state to try and entertain you guys. This truly is a lifestyle for us. These coyotes come through our cattle. In this particular pasture, we have about 400 pair of cows that have calves, and those coyotes live out here. It's our duty, it is our responsibility to protect the animals that we raise for not only our livelihood, but for your food. You know, it's taken another look, another detailed look at hunting, not just for sport, not just for trophies, not just for food, but as a lifestyle. And that's what people need to understand. 400 mama cows back there can't be wrong.
There are only a handful of hunters in the entire predator hunting industry who actually kill coyotes as a lifestyle to protect their own livelihood. I can honestly think of only one team that bears a legitimate responsibility to guard the cattle they raise year in and year out. They still have a blast doing what they do, but ultimately at the end of the day, they have a duty to stand as watchmen over the livestock that puts food on their table. Most predator hunters like myself hunt and kill coyotes as much for sport as they do to help the landowner. But on the O'Neill farm, there are over 500 head of cattle that serve as a constant reminder of what's priority. This unique team of ranchers turned die-hard coyote killers has made a name for themselves in the industry as the go-to guys for anything to do with a coyote for one obvious reason, and that's because they live it. They don't do what they do just for fun. They actually live it because they have to.
Kind of stand here at the gate and they're all pile in. Then they start crawling in.
They are one of the only teams out there that personally shoot and produce their own hunts internally by themselves. There are no posers in this group, and it's an honor to show the world what the real deal looks like. They are O'Neill Ops, and they've done it all. Their work speaks for itself and shows just why they're at the top of the food chain. They have single-handedly taken predator hunting to an all-new level, and just about anywhere you look throughout the industry, their fingerprints can be seen. From the style of cinematography they use to film a hunt, all the way down to even the look they have in the field, they are the ones everyone else is trying to imitate, not the other way around.
We'll shoot it up.
You can see really clear tonight, and there's not a lot of wind, and it's cold, and we should be able to kill a lot.
This was my first experience in sub-zero temperature, and let's just say for a Texas boy, it was colder than a witch's titty, but I wasn't about to complain about it.
Man, when it's cold, that's the best time to hunt them suckers because they've got to eat. They're burning calories, so we can pinpoint them in a location like that where we know we've got the perfect setup. The kill box is what we call it in the bales. We can go in there 2 guys at a time, 2 guns, and sometimes pull out 3-4 coyotes in one basic set. Pull them out of there, come back a couple hours later and hammer down again.
These guys have figured out a more effective method for getting multiple coyotes killed this time of year is by hunting over dead piles, strategically placed in areas that allow for concealed approach that can be viewed from a safe distance while staying undetected with thermal. Thank you, Ultimate Night Vision. If there is any one thing I learned from this hunt, it's sneaking up on a coyote, much less a group of them, is much more difficult than having one come to a call. From a degree of difficulty standpoint, it's not even close. But these guys have perfected using the cover of darkness, along with a well-chosen path of approach, to get in on coyotes taking advantage of what they think is an easy meal.
This is a really good spot. There's usually 2 or 3 coyotes here at night, so it should be good. Okay, here he comes. He's coming back. There's one on the cow, and there's one on the south side of the fence, so I saw 2 for sure. Okay. Let's get our stuff and roll. Okay.
The best way to describe the way I felt was, it was the closest thing I've ever seen to a coyote in his natural environment. It was as if you were seeing what you weren't supposed to see. And the thrill I got from it was one like I had never experienced.
There's two of them. There's one on the cow, and there's one of them straight south. Okay.
This was the first time I had ever personally witnessed coyotes just being coyotes, and it was an unforgettable experience. There were only 2 coyotes there when we first got into position, but before long, it was like an all-you-can-eat buffet at Golden Corral. There were coyotes coming from everywhere. This style of hunting coyotes using thermal has only been legal for the past few years in South Dakota, which was still a great advancement to help the landowner, but the problem was the state put a restriction on the size of caliber to legally take a coyote at night to that of a rimfire cartridge or a shotgun. And anyone who's ever shot enough coyotes knows a 17 HMR, much less a shotgun, is not enough firepower to ethically get the job done. So James and Keith actually did something about it.
All we're asking you to do here is put rights back in the landowner's hands so that we can protect the animals that we raise for your food. All right, guys, here's what the deal is. Today, we're actually in Pierce, South Dakota. That's the state capital. We're working on a piece of legislation to amend a current law that will allow us landowners, cattle operators, and basically farmers to use a higher caliber round to hunt predators at night on our own ground with a couple guests. Something that, you know, should be our right anyway, but as this law sits right now, it's limited to shotgun and rimfire. We're trying to get it to any .224 caliber, which is your standard varmint and predator rounds, like a .250, .223, .220 Swift, etc. So we're walking in right now. In all honesty, I have no idea where I'm going because I've never done this before. We've got a good outline, so hopefully we can present some factual in the field data that these guys will understand. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Committee. My name is James O'Neill. I'm a 4th generation farmer and rancher from South Dakota. We own and operate about 10,000 acres, 500 head of Angus cattle. So I take this concern fairly intensely. Basically, the way that I'm looking at this is you're putting a right back into the landowner's hands to protect the animals that we raise for your food. Now, I'd like to go over some other talking points here.
You would not give an armed guard a stick to ward off a thief. So why would some states restrict any landowner's ability to protect their own livestock by passing laws that will not allow them to adequately do just that? South Dakota, along with a few other states, restricts the cartridge size for coyotes to rimfire only at night, which is nowhere near adequate enough muscle to get the job done in big open country like the Dakotas. All they simply want the state to do is allow them to shoot big calf eaters like this with a round big enough to make them hit the dirt like this, instead of running off to die a slow, painful death like this, because a handful of politicians simply don't understand the facts.
Right now, we can legally take a cartridge like this. This is a Barrett 416 that shoots a 395 grain spun solid projectile, 3,250 feet per second. That will travel miles. As the law sits right now, we could take that cartridge and hunt at night under a full moon with no artificial light. And from my experience, I've shot a lot of coyotes underneath a full moon, a lot. From my experience to now, using the high-end technology equipment that they have, we have the best optics. We run Swarovski, that's a $3,000 pair of binoculars. Under the full moon, you cannot compare the best glass to the thermal and night vision capabilities. You can see better at night with thermal and night vision, and all we're asking you to do is allow us to use a cartridge like that, a .224 caliber, 4/1000ths of an inch bigger in diameter than a .22 long rifle, to use a safer method of hunting and taking precision shots on the animals that are causing catastrophic losses to a lot of farmers and ranchers. I look at this from a different perspective. A lot of times we'll hunt over carrion piles, over bait piles. Being a livestock rancher, a lot of you guys know that you have a chronic, you'll lose a cow, it's just gonna happen. All we're asking you to do here is put rights back in the landowner's hands so that we can protect the animals that we raise for your food. And that's all I've got right now. Thank you for your time.
Unfortunately, Senate Bill 58 did not pass with flying colors, but it did pass. And now, thanks to O'Neill Ops, any landowner in the state of South Dakota can legally take a coyote at night with the aid of thermal or night vision and use a caliber big enough to get the job done. As of now, the law says any caliber under .224 is fair game. Talk about paving the way for others. You never know what kind of impact this one single law change can have for other states down the road. But one thing is certain, there will be a lot more dead coyotes on the O'Neill farm in the years to come because of it. These coyotes have no clue we're even there. And after allowing all of them enough time to get in and get situated, it was up to James to pick which one was going to get it. At first, it was a bit of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but once one volunteered by jumping up on the dead pile, that was all it took to seal his fate. I learned a lot from James and Keith both on this trip, and just being able to watch exactly how they execute their process was a huge bonus. There was no detail overlooked, all the way down to leaving the scene of the crime uncontaminated.
I'll just drive up there, crack your door, grab his back leg, even if he is mangy, we gotta get him out of there anyway, and we'll drag him back about 20 yards or 50 yards.
Right a little bit, not very much. Another 2 feet, that works. Whoa, okay, good, go.
That's just a perfect spot where when the weather gets really cold and that river freezes up, it's like a highway for coyotes, and you can just keep killing and killing.
A couple years old, probably 2, 3. Definitely not a pup.
When we walked in here, I counted at least 6 different coyotes.
Yeah, I think they're moving tonight.
Big time. Let's get this one loaded up and get out of here and see if we can smash some more.
Let's do it.
Watching these guys do what they do was a true honor, and gave me knowledge to take back to Texas, and who knows, maybe even try down the road for myself. These 2 South Dakota killers march to the beat of their own drum, and without question have their own identity. And that is the reason I feel we get along so well.
It's not ketchup.
Not Kool-Aid. Our blood freezes right when it drips. It was a good night, eh?
Not 2 shabs.
What did we hang, 5?
5 of them. And it's negative 15, dude.
Yeah, look at this. We just hung this. That blood dripping is
it's froze. It's just like candle wax. I'll tell you what, dude, I'm tired, man.
We either call it a night or we keep going, because we're gonna freeze if we just stand here.
We're gonna call it a night so Chris can time lapse and we can re-gear for daytime footage.
All right.
I'll film. You and Chris can shoot tomorrow. How about that?
Okay. Somebody's vagina's getting frostbite. We better go.